The next two proclamations are going to be received by the American Association of University Women Lompoc-Vandenberg branch. So if those representatives would like to come up and stand with me, that would be great. We have a proclamation for Women's History Month and for Equal Pay Day. You see them trying to negotiate with some of us that are both staff and elected officials that are members of said organization. So they're trying to coax this up to show you that it is a nonpartisan organization that is dedication to advancing opportunities for women and children and families. And so it is with great pride that I read these two proclamations. Women's History Month 2024. Whereas the National Women's History Month theme for 2024 celebrates women who advocate for equity, diversity, and inclusion. And whereas the theme recognizes women throughout the country who understand that for a positive future, we need to eliminate bias and discrimination entirely from our lives. And institutions and women from every background have long realized that an uneven playing field will never bring equality or justice. And whereas many feel the critical need to speak up and work harder for fairness in our institutions and social interactions, and whereas during 2024 we recognize the example of women who are committed to embracing everyone and excluding no one in our common quest for freedom and opportunity. They know that people change with the help of families, teachers, and friends, and that young people in particular need to learn the value of hearing from different voices with different points of view as they grow up. And whereas today equity, diversity, and inclusion are powerful driving forces that are having a wide-ranging impact on our country. And whereas a member of families, civic and community groups, businesses, and legislative bodies, women are in the forefront of reevaluating the status quo and looking anew at what harmful social policies and behaviors exist and often subtly determine our future. And whereas in response, women in communities across the nation are helping to develop innovative programs and projects within corporations, the military, federal agencies, and educational organizations to address these injustices. And whereas it takes courage for women to advocate for practical goals like equity, diversity, and inclusion when established forces aim to misinterpret, exploit, or discredit them. And whereas the Lompoc-Vandenberg branch of the American Association of University Women work to fulfill the mission of lifting up the lives of females through its vision of equity for all. Now, therefore, I, Janelle Osborne, Mayor of the City of Lompoc, California, do hereby proclaim March 2024 as Women's History Month in the City of Lompoc and recognize the work of the American Association of University Women, Lompoc-Vandenberg branch, in improving the lives of females for 60 years and therefore strengthening Lompoc and society as a whole. And now for the second one. And we'll hand the microphone off to you as soon as we're done with it. All right, this one is for Equal Pay Day. Whereas more than 60 years after the passage of the Equal Pay Act, women, especially minority women, continue to suffer the consequences of unequal pay. And whereas according to the U.S. Census Bureau, women working full-time year-round in 2022 typically earned 84% of what men earned, indicating little change or progress in pay equity. And whereas at the current rate of change, equal pay will not be achieved until 2088. And whereas according to the simple truth about the pay gap, a 2022 research report by the American Association of University Women, the gender pay gap is evident 1 year after college graduation, even after controlling for factors known to affect earnings, such as occupation, hours worked, and college major. And whereas in 2009, the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act was signed into law, which gives back to employees their day in court to challenge a pay gap, and now we must pass the Paycheck Fairness Act, which would amend the Equal Pay Act by closing loopholes and improving the law's effectiveness. And whereas according to one estimate, college-educated women working full-time earn more than $500,000 less than their male peers do over the course of a lifetime. And whereas 4 in 10 mothers are primary breadwinners in their household, and nearly 2/3 are primary or significant earners, making pay equity critical to families' economic security. And whereas a lifetime of lower pay means women have less income to save for retirement, and less income counted in a Social Security or pension benefit formula. And whereas according to census data in 2020 in California, the earning ratio of women was just 88 cents. And whereas March 14th symbolizes the time in 2023 when the wages paid to American women catch up to the wages paid to men from the previous year. Now therefore I, Janelle Osborne, Mayor of the City of Lompoc, California, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, March 19th, 2024 as Equal Pay Day in the City of Lompoc and urge our citizens to recognize the full value of women's skills and significant contributions to the labor force and further encourage businesses to conduct an internal pay evaluation to ensure women are being paid fairly. All right, ladies, I'm going to hand these off to you as well as the microphone, and I just want to thank you for the work you do and that I am a proud member.
And she is.
Good evening. I'm Lucy Tomes Harrington, and I'm honored to be the president for the 2023-2024 term of the Lompoc-Vandenberg branch of the American Association of University Women. And on behalf of myself, our board, and our members, many of whom are behind me here at this podium, I'd like to thank you, Mayor Osborne, Council members Vega, Cordova, Starbuck, and Ball for your work on behalf of our community and for these very important proclamations, Women's History Month and Equal Pay Day. So what is AAUW? Our history is wrapped into Women's History Month. Our organization was founded in 1881 by 5 women who graduated from the University of Syracuse in New York. And at that time, in 1881, it was truly uncommon, almost unheard of, that women would graduate from college. And these 5 women decided it was time to change that. They banded together and decided to work as one to create opportunities for increased education access for women and girls. That's how the organization was founded. The 5 founders went on to be instrumental in the women's suffragette movement that fought for and earned the right for women to vote in 1920. It's not too many generations removed. My grandmother was part of that movement. And other people's moms were part of that movement. And other people's great-grandmothers were part of that. Not too many generations removed from that notable event. And other impacts on Women's History Month by AAUW. AAUW is a funder of education and research. One of the first awardees was Madame Curie for her work in radium, was awarded a fellowship by AAUW's predecessor organization for her research in radium, and went on, as we know, to be the first female Nobel Prize winner. Today, AAUW continues to fund research at the graduate level as one of the largest funders nationally for that work. Today, AAUW is a nonpartisan organization open to all genders. So we welcome all genders and in a nonpartisan manner who believe in our vision, which is equity for all. And speaking of equity, going into the equal pay for equal work, our data shows from the pay gender gap reports that we as women earn 84 cents on every dollar that a man earns. And for women of color, it's even more severe. For Black women, it's 64 cents on a dollar, and for Hispanic women, 57 cents on every dollar. That must change. It must change for the good of society. It must change for the good of our economy. It must change. The Paycheck Fairness Act, which Mayor Osborne mentions in the proclamation, is critical in achieving this equity. We can't wait till 2088 to be paid the same and equally as men. The Paycheck Fairness Act sits with the Senate, so we can act. We can act, and we can act for the good of women everywhere. Along those same lines, I know you celebrated, and I celebrated in 2022 when the U.S. National Soccer team, the women's national soccer team, fought and finally got agreement from the Federation, Soccer Federation, to get paid what the men got paid. And the world stood and cheered, and America stood and cheered, and that was critically important. And an underpinning of that is the work of Title IX. And Title IX is a federal mandate, federal legislation that protects and prevents discrimination on the basis of sex in educational institutions. And here tonight with us, AAUW, open to all genders, I'd like to recognize the beneficiaries of the work started by AAUW and other organizations and advocates over 50 years ago with Title IX. Title IX has enabled women to be full participants in sports. And here tonight at the back of this room, we've got Claudia Torrenes, which is one of a 20% ratio of women athletic directors. At our level, even less of women in color, and she has brought with her our student athletes from Lompoc High. And tell me if I've got it right. We've got swimmers. Stand up if you're on that swim team. We've got student athletes, women student athletes who are track and field athletes, so stand up. And I believe, do we have any other team? Softball. We have softball. Please stand up. And golf. Yes.
Do you mind if I say something real quick?
Please.
We also added a sport this year.
Come to the microphone, otherwise at-home audiences won't hear you.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I have 7 children, so they. We also added a sport that I thought was, is starting now. It's women, girls flag football last year. And I'm very proud to say that we are the only school in the central section to start it, and now everybody will follow because of the brave women that we have at our school to start it. We went, myself and the coach went to a big meeting and said we were starting it, and people looked at us kind of like, what's going on with that? But we are brave. Yeah. Women are brave to start something, and we're going to finish it. There will be a league next year. We are super excited about it. And like I said, we offer, out of the 24 sports, 12 of them are women sport or girl sports. So we are balancing it out, and I'm proud of that. So thank you for having us. And I know we're going to see these student athletes in many, many, many different ways as they go into their next career. So thank you for your work and your leadership. Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you again for your recognition of these very important events.